Good morning to you. My name is Anthony Jackson and this is Newday. I'm here with the news for the morning. Let's look at the headlines. Former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ayite, says the 1.3 billion 2018 budgetary allocation for free senior high school education is woefully inadequate. Civil and Local Government Staff Association CLOSAC asks government to secure funding to recruit more staff into the civil service or risk the service collapsing. In business, free zone shops to begin paying duties on their goods from December 1. In international news, writer Stan Lee passes away at 95. Now, it's an apprenticeship job which involves the use of manpower. This is often described as a menial job which is looked down on, albeit without them no hospital can function effectively. In the following report, Sarah Parko portrays why there is a cause to worry as mortuary workers threaten a nation strike next week.
Mortuary attendants work for long hours, including public holidays, just like professionals who play essential services. They pick dead bodies from wards at various hospitals across the country. They are trained on the job to embalm dead bodies, carry corpses into mortuary fridges, among others. Formalin is the main chemical they use in their line of duty to preserve dead bodies. It is said to be a leading cause of cancer and irritation of the eye, putting their health at risk. Clearly, the relevance of the work can't be underestimated because without the mortuary attendants, families may not have access to their dead relatives for burial. They are normally required to work 3 shifts, but do 2 due to understaffing. The Kolebu Teaching Hospital has the biggest morgue in Ghana. It has a 600 fridge capacity morgue with barely 24 workers to man it. Information gathered by TV3 revealed the facility is currently congested. Kolebu Teaching Hospital morgue receives dead bodies from across the country because it has highest number of pathologists. As at 2 p.m. Monday morning, when our news team visited the morgue, it had already received 9 dead bodies. The workers who spoke to the team off record expressed their frustration working under harsh conditions. They vowed to strike to compel government to address their concerns, and if that happens, there could be a public health crisis, especially for residents living close to these facilities and beyond.
Now, young entrepreneurs and startups are asking for more engagement with government to better appreciate their concerns when it comes to policy formulation. Their call comes ahead of the Media General Startup and SME Fair and Funding Summit.
The World Bank has predicted that growth in sub-Saharan Africa will continue to pick up in the next 5 years. This projects Ghana as a safe, stable country with a low crime level. Since there is a vast difference between developing a startup in a one-week competition and sustaining a startup business in the market, entrepreneurs often give up their business after a few years of operations. Access to market and funding opportunities remain major challenges.
I'm hoping to use this platform to beg and plead with the government to come on board to help us to get all our challenges solved.
After hosting over 200 startups since the Mover segment was introduced on Business Focus on TV3, Media General has not only won awards for its dedication and commitment to growing startups, but has also come to appreciate the challenges startups face. About 50 startups are expected to patronize the 2-day fair, which will have participants exhibit their products and services. The event is open to the general public to come and enjoy the massive discounts offered by exhibitors at the Aviation Social Center on the 16th and 17th of November.
To more business stories, the Association of Ghana Industries AGI says the implementation of the 5% VAT flat rate in its current state is not supportive for business. The CEO of AGI said Chum Akwabwa expects government to review the straight levy in the 2019 budget to be presented by the Finance Minister on Thursday, November 15.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries noted the association has given their input on the new tax system to the Minister of Finance. Seth Chum Akwabwa expects some of these concerns, including the implementation of the new tax system, to be addressed.
We expect that some of the concerns we have, especially on the midterm budget review, would be addressed in the coming budget. For example, the 5% flat rate, we think it is not supportive of manufacturing in particular. So we've drawn the ministry's attention to it. They are looking at it. We expect some of the reviews to happen in that area.
AGI wants government to allocate financial resources for the implementation of the One District, One Factory initiative.
A lot of work is going on now. We want to see what budget provision will be made for 2019 as well. 2018, some budget provision was made, some effort has been made, but we know that we have not achieved the results that we want. Some progress has been made, but it's not enough. So in 2019, is there going to be additional funding to support this and let it happen?
On macroeconomic development, the association expects government policies to help consolidate economic gains. The Chief Executive Officer again wants government to introduce policy measures aimed at driving down interest rates.
Going to 2019, what is going to be the reflection? Are we going to see a bit more indications that macroeconomic environment is going to be improving, the stability is going to be sustained, inflation will be brought under control, exchange rate will be within the range that we expect, and even more importantly for businesses, the interest rate is going to come down. We saw that policy rate has consistently dropped over the last 5 or 6 reviews. Either is dropped or is stabilized, but interest rate is still quite high compared to the rate at which the policy rate is dropping.
Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta will present the 2019 budget in Parliament on Thursday, November 15.
Still on the 2019 budget presentation, the Civil and Local Government Staff Association CLOSAC is asking government to secure funding to recruit more staff into the civil service or risk the service collapsing. Ahead of the 2019 budget presentation, Executive Secretary of the association fears the lack of funds for staff recruitment could affect government policy implementation.
The Civil and Local Government Staff Association, CLOSAC, Ghana, is concerned about the shortage of staff in the civil service. Though the association could not give the number of vacancies available, it was worried the situation could be dire. By the end of this year, more than 1,000 of civil servants will be due for retirement from active service. The association, ahead of the budget presentation, is asking government to secure funding to recruit staff into the service. Its Executive Secretary, Zigbampo Ado, said the recruitment of staff will ensure the continuous existence of the civil service.
The principles that underpin the civil service are neutrality, permanence, and anonymity. As a civil servant, I want to see these principles in the budget. These personnel will be trained, and they are going to ensure that there's continuity in whatever policies are put in place, in respect of which government is in power. So if these critical staff are not in place, we should forget. If government can think that they can go and then employ special assistants to do this work, I can tell you, after 4 years, they will go. Where's the permanence? Where is the institutional memory? They would have attended all the workshops, training programs. When there's a change of government, they go with the government. But the civil servant is permanent. He is the institutional memory. Then there will be continuity.
He again explained that recruitment into the service will ensure government policies are implemented. Ahead of the budget presentation, some experts have raised concerns about leakages in the public service. CLOSAC has since called on the finance minister to indicate how government will broaden the tax net and also block all leakages.
Go to the informal sector. They are not paying tax. So where is the government going to get money, revenue, to ensure that essential amenities are provided. The bottom line is tax. So if we are not serious with our tax collection and we want to tax a few, eventually everything will break down. Ghana beyond aid. I don't see what it's going to do for us if we don't block the leakages, if we don't improve our IGF collection.
The finance minister is expected to present the 2019 budget on Thursday, November 15.
Let's delve into the educational sector, where panelists at the Graphic Business and Stanbic Breakfast meeting in Accra have argued that private sector and parents should be made to pay for the free SHS policy. They insist government cannot bear the cost of the policy. The forum was on the theme financing free and qualitative education in Ghana, sustainable funding options.
Sources of funding for government's free senior high school policy has been a challenge in the first year of its implementation. Patrons of a Graphic Business and Stanbic Breakfast meeting have proposed options for government to explore. Professor Ernest Aite, former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, says an increase in budgetary allocation to education will improve standards. He said this will bring about competitiveness in the world of work. He noted that 1.3 billion 2018 budgetary allocation was much less than the qualitative estimation of 3.3 billion. Professor Aite, however, agreed government will have to open up to other sources of funding by exempting some schools and asking some parents to pay for the awards.
Let's fix the public schools, all of them, from the best to the worst. We need all to contribute. And I talk about bringing the infrastructure in through partnerships with the private sector. Parents have to contribute. I know that the GES is averse to parents' contribution. By telling parents, don't make any contribution through fees, you are putting aside 60% of all that they need to make those schools run. For what reason?
Among the suggestions for funding was a call by education consultant and principal of SOS Hemamema College, Israel Titi Ofe, to build a system of education attractive to businesses.
We have graduates from our universities. They cannot write. They cannot think about issues. We need to have a quality curriculum, and that is what we have not done. When we look deeply into why we are where we are, we should look at the education we've given our children. I do not think that we've prepared our children well. And the young people of today who are going into the world of work have also not been prepared well. And that has to change.
Patrons concluded the only way to ensure a sustainable and competitive free SHS is through targeted and strategic funding.
Now to Parliament, where Speaker of Parliament Professor Mike Okoye says members of Parliament are leading a makeshift life as they are not provided for very well, contrary to public perception. In an interview with leading media houses dubbed the Speaker in his own words, Professor Mike Okoye said the advocacy to have a parliamentary enclave would not be a drain to the public purse.
The Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Mike Okoye, was engaged by senior journalists and anchors from some of Ghana's leading media houses. The interview, which was the Speaker's first sit-down one, was to have him speak to his almost 2 years tenure. Professor Mike Okoye, a passionate advocate for review and new strides in the country's laws, said the 25-year-old Parliament had a lot of work to do, adding Parliament was undergoing review of standing orders. He was concerned about the multiple committee membership of parliamentarians in Ghana, which according to him does not allow specialization. Professor Michael Okoye said the appointment committee was not a stated requirement in the constitution.
Our constitution talks only about the prior approval of Parliament regarding to a minister. It doesn't tell you that there must be something like appointments committee. The appointments committee is a general committee.
He said members of Parliament were not well provided for as the public thinks.
They need far, far, far more. They need things in kind, not in cash.
He was on the drive to have Parliament go paperless.
Because if you have a law which is very open, you don't need any qualification. Somebody could come in there who cannot read, who cannot write.
You don't have to be that learned, but at least you must be well instructed enough in education to be able to understand the work of this house.
In that case, should we change the law?
We need not change it.
Professor Michael Quay was quick to add Parliament needed its own space. The former ambassador to India said Ghana needed to have its own parliamentary museum, such as the one in India, and not live in a space susceptible to attacks.
We don't want one day for something untoward to happen in this house. Attack of MPs, a bomb somewhere. One of those things that we read about in other places.
He was grateful to government for agreeing to foot the bill to build extra offices for MPs, a project he said preceded his leadership.
Although President Akufo-Addo and former President Mahama were leaders in Ghana's parliament, the media had limited information on their performance as members when they both competed for presidency. This is due to a lack of systematic arrangements with the parliamentary system to make information available for future use. To overcome this, the Speaker of Parliament is spearheading a move to have electronic systems that would eventually name and shame.
Mr. Speaker, are you going to name and shame MPs who are virtually, late?
Definitely. This, it will be available to members of the media. So when you come, and in fact, I'm seeking your cooperation. His Excellency Akufo-Addo, His Excellency Mahama had both been leading members in this house before they sought to be president. Now, these men were competing to be president, yet the media did not have enough record, actual record, of their performance in Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, talking about MPs who do not show up, I know, for instance, that, following that research, a group economic fighters petitioned you on the 13th of August to refer the matter to the Privileges Committee and then declare the seats of the MPs vacant if they have no tangible reasons. Has that been done?
No. You see?
Why?
Yes. One, unfortunately, our rules provide, and in fact our law provides that the MP must have absented himself or herself without permission for a certain number of consecutive days. I'm saying, how do you cure a mischief? You cure them with scientific arrangements.
Let's do some health stories. Now, 177,000 diabetic patients died in 2017 alone. President of the National Diabetes Association of Ghana, Elizabeth Denyon, at the launch of World Diabetes Day in Accra, feared the figure may rise at the end of this year if government fails to earmark funds to address the problem.
Globally, more than 4.9 million deaths were recorded on diabetes in 2017. Out of the figure, 508,000 of the cases were in the sub-Saharan Africa. In Ghana, 177,000 deaths were recorded in 2017 alone. Health experts fear more deaths could be recorded by the end of this year if government delays to provide funds. To mark this year's World Diabetes Day, the National Diabetes Association is asking government to secure enough funds to import drugs for diabetic patients. President of the association, Elizabeth Denyon, proposed government should impose taxes on alcoholic beverages to raise funds for their work.
We don't have any subsidies for insulins that are coming into the country. We also want the government to take a critical look at subsidizing products or treatments for the cost of diabetes. To effectively treat diabetes, you need over 350 Ghana cedis a month. We have sent several letters to Parliament to look at introducing sin taxes. That will be looking at taxing fizzy drinks, alcoholic beverages, sweets, and cigarettes so that the process go into non-communicable disease as a whole. But all have fallen on deaf ears.
To enhance the operations, Executive Director of EcoBank, Morgan Esiedu, has provided 30,000 cedis to the association. This year's World Diabetes Day will be observed on Wednesday, November 14. It's on the theme, End Diabetes.
This is some international news now. The writer, editor, and publisher who is responsible for lovable characters such as Spider-Man, X-Men, Thor, Iron Man, Black Panther, and the Fantastic Four, Stan Lee, has passed away at the age of 95. His cause of death is unknown. However, he suffered several illnesses over the last year and had pneumonia and vision issues. On his own and through his work with frequent artist, writer collaborators, Lee catapulted Marvel from a tiny venture into the world's #1 publisher of comic books and later a multimedia giant. And that's a wrap-up news for this morning. My name is Anthony Jackson. Newday returns shortly after the break.
Welcome to New Day. It's a bright new day, and you need to wake up and feel the sunshine. Yeah. Absolutely. My name is Johnny Hughes, and I'm here with my sweet, delectable, intelligent, fantastic, loquacious.
Hey. Yeah. That sounds like mentioning words from a dictionary just for the fun of it. But anyway, good morning to you.
Oh, you
Johnny.
you don't believe those things.
Oh, I do. By the way you were saying it,
yeah.
You know, just
no, but that's different from Popoli Popo. It's different from.
As for this song, I don't know what it would do to Ghanaians, but it's good. It's coming in good time. Yeah. We're getting into Christmas. Yeah. Usually, we want a song to rock us and all that. It's a fun song, so I'm sure
I'm
we'll
looking
make
at
waves.
the impact Obinyani Mio did or had, and how suddenly Joe Metal took over, you know, with Bononi. So I don't know.
Yeah, and he's even got everything, which is now another hit.
Yeah.
So, but certainly, I mean, it's fun to have music in the atmosphere, just to make you enjoy, move, and laugh about some of these things. Because if you listen to the lyrics, you'd laugh about it. Yeah. But anyway, it's November 13th, and again, we're gradually creeping into December. I've seen people putting Christmas trees in front of their homes, decorations. And I thought, oh boy, here we come again. Because it's a lot of money. And,
I miss my father at this time, because he would have started selecting his Bonnie M and Winneba Youth Choir CDs and things to get ready to start playing the carols over and over again. And we usually put a speaker outside, you know, so we'll link it, put it inside, then we'll put some Christmas trees outside. So he starts playing it, and everybody going around will actually feel it. The Hamatan is setting in now. Yeah. So it's going to be fun.
It is. And gradually the rains have gone down. You know how the patterns had changed. I thought for a minute that we're going to have a rainy November, but it looks like it was just a bit of the first half, and, you know, now it's down. So we hope the patterns remain the same, so that at least the farmers can also plan ahead. Because if we go into a state of food insecurity, Johnny, maybe we'll very soon be eating human beings for food, and we don't want to get to that level. And so we need to make sure our, you know, agricultural sector is growing, and often because they depend on the climate that we all know and are so used to, we have to pray that God will sustain that climate for them to be able to make their produce.
I'm happy that two things are going to happen. That we're told that yesterday the Ghana Highway Authority took 6 contractors onto the Adenta Road. Right. We've been talking about it for a long time. So work will begin officially today, we're told by the Daily Guide, and we hope that it really does.
And it looks like some more street lights are working in Accra.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the Olusegun Obasanjo Highway now has most of its light working. And I hope it remains the same. Again, we've said it. We don't want people to just agitate, and then government will respond reactively, and then it fails to, you know, consistently keep up with that. It is a must that our street lights should work. It's someone's job. And so if it is not working, I'd want to hear government actually putting people to task and taking people off their jobs if they're not doing their work. I'm a doctor. If I go and my Ghana Health Service is assessing me and I'm not at work, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, they certainly will take me off the roll at some point.
Will come to play.
And so they should make sure that everyone whose duty it is to work works for their money, because after all, we're all paying each other.
You know, in a country where you don't have the road markings properly done, people depend on the street light to make that judgment. So if the road marks are not there, the street light is not there. How do people make the judgment?
But I hope the converse doesn't become the reality for us, where they would fix the road markings and turn the street lights off. We need both of them to work simultaneously. So please, government,
I'm also happy that the Tamamoto is going to get, you know, patches, even though I don't agree with the concept that the road that's more than 50 years old, and the engineers know this, should be patched. Right. The last time it was patched, we had some engineer, or if you like, contractor, put asphalt on concrete. Right. All in the name of patching. I don't know where they learned that from, but even from a layman's perspective, I know that you don't put asphalt on concrete. I hope that this time around, in spending 2.4 million cedis to do the patching, and I've had, you know, some qualms with some engineers who think that I shouldn't be questioning the figures and that I should tell them alternatively what I think it should cost. I'm asking those questions out of goodwill. I'm asking, we shouldn't have asphalt on concrete. It doesn't make sense. You have asphalt. It's just like putting chewing gum in polythene bag, okay, and trying to hold it together. If a little oil or water gets in there, you can't fasten it. So that's what we have there. So I hope that the folks working on the Accra to Mamoto Way will not put asphalt on concrete this time around.
But anyway, let's
let's
walk you through what today we'll be doing here. We certainly will rant. We'll hit Adenta again to find out if residents are satisfied with the progress of work there. And then we'll be touching on the launch of Star Ghana Foundation. They have been bringing us many of the mission stories, but they're yet to tell us what the foundation will mean 10 years down the line. Then also we've got Chamber. You know how we do it, Go Legal on Tuesdays. We'll talk about police brutality because we've seen many of those in recent years. We want to find out what does the law state about this and what can you as a citizen do about it. And then finally, we'll talk about Media General's Startup Pair and Funding Summit.
Exactly. So it's interesting. I've seen the numbers coming in to grab their forms to be part of the funding summit. And oftentimes, look, people have fantastic ideas.
They do.
How to get money to fund it is a big problem. So I'm very optimistic that that's coming up. But Vodafone is asking you to make the smartest choice right about now because you need to go smart business from Vodafone and experience real flexibility, convenience, and productivity. Smart business from Vodafone allows you to create your own customized data and voice plan to suit the unique requirements of your business. And whether it's for the airtime that your workers would need to use to make those critical calls, or you need email, digital marketing, data packages, they've got you covered. Also, you get a chance to roll over all your unused data to save more cash for your business. Move on to Vodafone and make your business get into the future with Vodafone Smart Business. Call them on 0302 334 040. That's 0302 334 040 or 0800 10,000. That's 0800 10,000. Or visit www.vodafone.com/gh business/smart business to build your own plan. Vodafone says the future is exciting. The question is, are you ready? Of course, we are ready. Right now with the headlines here. Daily Guide starts us off. Nana flies to Qatar. NPP warns MP aspirants. And GRA arrests 4 over diversion. Work begins on Adenta footbridges. And NDC race gets dirty. Alote fights Asiedu in Ketia. There. The Finder newspaper says NIA 14,888 registered at Adentan in the first week of the exercise. It will end on the 24th, I'm told, in Adenta. Over 200 MPs abandoned RTI bill. It's about some 2 days to the RTI coalition's deadline, and the MPs are still pussyfooting and running around. Nobody wants to pass it. And 6 contractors visit Medina Pantan Highway to begin work on footbridges. And free SHS gold track takes off smoothly. Free SHS to cost Ghana over 3 billion cedis in 2009. Professor Ernest Aite, former VC of the University of Ghana, Legon. Ghanaian Times, Medina Adenta residents mount pressure on government for construction of footbridges. CID quizzes Kojo Bonsu over $1.7 million theft case. And NDC flays president over corruption. And financing free SHS, rich parents must pay, according to Professor Ernest Aite yesterday at the Graphic Business Summit there. The Daily Graphic. Government will sustain free SHS funding. GES Director General. Government bags 12 billion from import duties on page 38 of the Daily Graphic. And free senior high school, rich must pay participants in graphic business or Stanbic Forum advocates. And you can tell their hands are up. I'm sure the MC asked them to choose where they stood. And they decided that all the rich parents, including Amma, who's coming up shortly, will have to pay for free SHS. BNFT, government initiative will reduce cost of doing business. And analyst sees unsetting 2019 for financial sector. Ahead of the budget reading on Thursday, they're already making analysis. Right. But these are the front page stories. If you haven't gotten your newspaper yet, now you know which one to go and get. Where do we begin? Free SHS?
I want to talk about NIA because I'm happy that even though Adenta was occurring and also they had, you know, the crisis that they had in the past week, I'm happy that they were able to still successfully go on and register because we understand it's a national exercise and the longer we take or when we forestall it, we have more money to pay as taxpayers. And so I'm happy that there's been no incident, or at least the few that have been seen. NIA has tried to make sure that they capture majority of those living in Adenta, and certainly when it moves away from there to go to whatever other areas, they wouldn't have any issues. So I'm happy with the progress.
We're getting into the second week of the registration at Adenta, or end of the 24th. Now, if you look at the statistics from 2015, 16, maybe 17, you look at the demographics, the numbers you have there, 14,000 will be just about a fraction, maybe some 20-25%, which means that the coming week they must dig deeper and expect to get more numbers. I went around there, and the questions that people were asking was, okay, we're working class. Majority of us work during the week. Why can't we have the process start, for example, on Thursday, so it gets into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so we can have 4 days in a week? Then we could extend it to, instead of 2 weeks, do 3 weeks. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because really, for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it doesn't see a lot of action. You know, now that we have done with all those in the informal sector who would have been around, the masons, the carpenters, the mechanics, and food vendors, and students, and everybody else, we're not going to be aiming at the working class. And when I spoke with Palmdetti, ACI Palmdetti, he said, look, it's a national exercise, so people should ask for permission from work. When the IGP says nobody can take a leave, how do you go? No,
but the IGP's call is for his, policemen, and they.
But there are policemen who live at Adenta.
But very well. But I'm sure in their stations, because what I heard them say, which for me was quite instructive, and I thought at least they're looking at some alternatives, was the fact that it is a national, agenda, and so if you were to ask for, a day off to be able to make sure you get registered, I think that indeed your agency should be able to grant you that day.
But
I mean, supposing you're really being genuine, and also they'll be able to organize a structure so that they'll do this. Of course, these other issues are legit. They could have looked at it, but looking at it now where they've come out with this structure, it's a full-scale thing. It's already started. I'm sure they'll pan out.
There are instances where the card is supposed to be instant.
Right.
Okay. So you get there's a long queue because everybody is asked for and our own Harriet here didn't get her card on the very first day. So you get that there's a long queue, you wait. And this is the only day your boss has granted you to be there. Okay. Now you don't get your card today. Will you tell your boss you're going to pick your card the next day? Who pays for that loss of time on the job? Who pays for it?
Agreed. Johnny, but our system has not been without flaws. Even when it came to actually obtaining a voter's ID, we had similar challenges. And even for that, it was a bigger scale thing because this is across, and we had many, this was a full-scale thing going on at the same time in most places. So, yes, we've seen these teething problems. I hope they would actually listen to the concerns of many. If it's their printing processes that is going wrong, they should up it so that if they have to increase the machines that are on site to produce these cards, they should certainly do that so that they get the, agenda going, because we need it done.
And I
can't wait for it to reach Achimota.
Yes, of course. We're all looking forward to it because an ECOWAS card, I hope that it's actually synchronized so that you can use it for multiple purposes.
Well, it better be.
The last Ghana card I had, you go to some banks and they tell you it's not synchronized, so they can't use it. I hope we don't get those stories. But then there's the issue of getting your tax identification number before you're able to access the card to get it. Now, you realize that to get a TIN, you need a certain form of ID. So if I've lost my voter ID card and I can't go and get it right now, or I've lost my passport and I can't do it now, or I've lost any other ID card, it means I can't get my TIN.
Yeah.
Without a tin, I can't go and register for the Ghana card. It's more like the chicken and egg situation. Which came first? So maybe we need to start looking at it again. I know that somebody is in court, questioning some of these things, but it's most important. Then the question that comes to me is, if everybody gets the tin, how are we roping it? Because we're asking the carpenter to get the tin, but are we taking tax from the carpenter?
Exactly.
Are we taking, or is just for the fun of it that we want everybody to have a tin?
Because at the end of the day, if that intersectorial collaboration doesn't happen, then we're just, doing this for fun, just to hold another card that is becoming, it looks like it's a one card, but it's going to be duplicate in many things. Because if I can't synchronize my bank details, I can't synchronize my passport information, I can't synchronize my address, what's the point? So I think moving forward, we hope that government will listen clearly and make sure that everything is synchronized. Otherwise, we're back to square one with this. But it's time for us to run. So we're going back to our Adenta.
Yes, of course.
Johnny,
we need to go back to our
residents are happy. They still went on their demonstration. We saw them on the streets, but at least they said they are happy that government seems to be doing something about it. It means they heard. But again, the question is this the way we want government to be hearing us?
No.
When that's what they should be doing.
I've said that the people in Takwa went on the streets with their chiefs. The people in Ablekuma went there with some chiefs as well. The people in Adenta have done it.
Lekma is threatening to do
Lekma is threatening to go onto the streets. And yet we know what to do. Look, in the case of Lekma, the MP and the roads minister were on the road. TV3 went to cover that story. We have done a multiple of that story. And people think that we have just joined in the Adenta thing. We started the Adenta thing here and on our radio network on 3FM as well. But we did the Lekma story as well. So many times. The MP and the roads minister went there. We took the story and they told us we're going to start work the next week. Up to now, 4 months after, not a single pickaxe has been taken there to go and dig the ground.
No, but residents will tell you that every time we make that agitation, they'll see, contractors on the road with the bulldozers, the cranes, whatever it is. But immediately, the brouhaha goes down, then they vanish.
Don't need you to be window dressing the issue.
Exactly.
We need you to clear it. And you see, all over. Yesterday, somebody was making an argument that around the president's private residence, the road is good. The markings are clean. In fact, before the president became the head of state, around that Star FM area, Daily Guide area, it was all rough. Now it's all been smoothened and it's all been properly demarcated. Go to Mr. Amwakwate's place. It's all been done. So we all deserve to have...
his place is not... How do you know he's the Minister for Transport?
Say again? No. Oh, but if he's the Minister for Transport, we are the ones who pay tax for the Minister
Anyway, guys, let's hit the streets and rant about the Adenta situation with George Quinn in this morning.
Good morning and welcome to Daily Rant here on Newday. My name is George Quinn and I'm stationed at a portion of the Medina Adentan Highway just in front of the West African Senior High School. If you recall, on Thursday, a student was knocked down while crossing the road and it fueled the fury of residents here. And then there have been some protests here and there to ensure these footbridges are constructed. And government have also given the assurance that within 4 months or 3 months, these footbridges will be completed. But what are residents saying with regards to this? This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking. Okay, Sisiano. Then I'm saying, Mamu.
Jay, Omo Yan say, footbridge, no. Ombo Modiano Munyamai. And a two, Quano Sono Efu. Quano Su Efu. Today, your penny say, Omo Yamai said, Quana Efu no. Ombo Modiana, I buy any incophobino Mumbato because time now, lights and all. Omunye, me say, Nancy Nina, Omabaya light, 3 days now. And on Baya carnival school girl, Nivea, no. And on Baya light, not lights and on that and so. And 2, 3, Sa Hamuna Efun, a drana do Uber Chema. Cannot take in, no. Uber and run a cata with Limka crowd. Unya Chema was an Akasa day. Esiao. And say, yes, by say, ye footbridge, no. And a 2 year pan a chop, yes, son, I say, obey ma. And Crawford door. Sir, yeah, quiet you so.
Yeah, from Bismarck. I guarantee us here. Yeah, I can't remember. The way I can't Kuni Pano. Some are doing what? Patamian Konawa. Sometimes will be crossing by Tomakona. I can't no born next canning in a from no matter. I come. Yeah, no minimum say Ghana, street light, no power room. Light, be 7 months in the answer that. Yeah, demonstration. we say Akufo-Addo say ye titi yan kakra bi ya tiwade no we say we dey ketua bi keke Friday ye ketua bi keke no ka chiro Saturday na sit light na to dem hey en kania ni adanti no pia sa ya me tell be 1 week ni ye minister baako card no konya accident si play akofa no
helicopter
masa ya me won me sawa de e wiase man wonya no basket baako pe basket no kwa tie fire kwa minya sika nko anto tie e isa kam na car no jim konya accident aka so ko print me me fa me adanti a masa wonya me sawa de me tell won ya me say eja from Ghana eja me so let me finish ya me so eja me so me ntia sam me man for na say me man una say and you hear demonstration will be as red as some as white that as some akojiska
no we don't have evidence
evidence no kitame I hold my evidence.
How do you know so akojiska
see as some say when will be demonstration you be red and black or white
no but how would you know say anything on akojiska what do you need evidence evidence that way
as some man the machine ya the comedy na video
just two statements to make. Mr. President, you are the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. Please hold on. You are the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. You have the power. Please just order for them to come and fix the food bridge. That is all.
Okay, but when we say Abain said within 3 months at least you better food bridges. 3 months in advance. Masa, Mimi fit crowbar koso ayaba ayeye djuma. Be say 1 week carbon wezie pa. Oh masa owu ne fin nyina bubu e eni ko e. Won matuma nya hwi amaye card your carbon won matuma nya hwi amaye. Ni papa say 700 and say bibi e ko cars ku won ha na bibi. Okay, yeah, mu nya mu per food bridges. But me person me interest say yeah food bridges na mu be fro.
Oh masa enti hwe say ya hu food bridge ni wo ho. Na ya mfru ni e betwa mu dia adenti. Masa ya pema chaw TV3 mu ka Muma penifo asonte no mama food bridge in my we did just 3 months ya pamacho TV3 muma penifo asonte ya pamacho
they can say youth no nyina nya wotre na won say penifo nyina ide enim aye akode ama penifo so etie ye enti muma yamfa bia no we should be say circumspect bia na yamfa abotre emfa nye omo etie ye omo say mama ye friend 10 days and a week am be ye enti on be ye na they are say bia omo say assemblyman no sha white ni na say nyina ye pepi they are no say nyina ye moa
no but what really matters is the assemblyman is here. I think that's a big issue.
Also can because they can say yeah person be say bia they see a friend now say bia I want for ties and for no ebesi wa ha because bia no ayemra and a guy there the bia so bia say dem ran so e dey edi enim I say dem ready anima bia be fine am I na
Miss now be 1 week ni Ghana ka luku no na Ghana ba to tilapia we so no manu video
9 pence I should got tilapia 9 pence can you give me the shot 9 pence
o se o tilapia ni ti nipa na ko ni credit o ko so kwa na ba de tilapia wo atwanse na aka bo no enti aya na me nteze masa se woni wo yire na nam na wo yire esi obedi tilapia na woni na fifie na wo yire to credit na wo ba na ka bo na kuna nkasa na we bo mi pese wo
ya mo meni
ko so ba wo do no woni na nam se bia fon so po na wo ti na ka ba ye o unya saka ya babi po na ti saka bo ge ya but woni wo ga na nam na wo so ni sana ga ne eje no na ka bo na kuno adentia
ye mpanimfo no esande wo mu ntwa lorry kwan mu ena wo mu maso entwa lorry kwan da bia wo mu ma etika mu ena wo mu ko ye hiafo na ye to aba ema wo mu ba power no wo mu mbuye bi but so mu hu say ye hiafo no yet asane edu abato time ye betuma de kokomoti ato abaye den ama wo mu nti omu man chola rekwa nti omu nim de we site sanka ka abo omu ma bi anase ka abo omu bi na ko omu hu the way ani pass for eye omu eso sha ko me hu the way site butuma nkuru akwantu anya akwantu oketua
Ghana politicians from A to Z omu nti asama me kan ye pa
yemu bi yedi amanyochi ache kakra na yehu se ebrebia omo hia wo a eno mo ba wo nchen omo ba ene e ba se one wo bewo fufuo wo kontomre ne wo momone no one wo bewo na mo transie di a one wo beye but eya na eya atete se yedi aba ne mom na so mo kwa na omo policies na edi omo be ba ben mu the next time no it is what it is just to them. Massa, the masses are suffering. Not me, I'm not talking politics here. But the time is coming. Some of these issues will let the youth rise up. Like what happened in Egypt some years ago. It's happened.
Let's avoid that. Okay, we won't get
okay, there. I'm taking it back though. You are saying we won't get there. They never thought it was going to get there. The politicians should take time. These things are bound to happen. These things can happen. Let's continue on the project that the predecessors has left over. Let's continue those ones and make sure these things. I don't know. You see, I'm talking with a bit of pain here. How long is it going to take us to fix this thing? Massa, what haven't they do since they came to power? And this came to power 8 years ago.
Okay. Let me take a consent.
Please, I beg you. It's too much difficult for this data here. They are killing our children, and they are killing our wife, and they are killing our headers. Why? If you close right now, they will kill you free. And because they do overhead bridge, let's do it. Why? It's too much difficult for us. Why? Why?
Tona masa. Tona homogeno. But tona homogeno. Omo di yeden. Tona homogeno. Omo ntren why? Ye pa mo cha. Tona homogeno. Omo ntren.
Once omo penny ba be na chi free education. Wasa no obe na chi e. So ya wesa ha no ye. We are wesa mudi na chi ba. Ba mo refi say omo penny o council of state. That's how mutu nifu say o man penin refi ko say o council of state o mutu nifu say baby aba na chi ade no ko fa be ba ha no if I don't be fa e be ba school o man penin refi penifo amudi na chi nusu o mu refi ya MP o wa denta any medina ha o mu dwen hu pesa mi kuminyafo pesa mi kuminya o mu dwo mu yefu. And
so the cry of Medina and Adenton residents is to ensure their food bridges are completed. They've also given government ultimatum to ensure efforts are expedited. Let us know what you also think watching home. Just log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, TV3 Ghana, and on Twitter, is a new TV3. Thanks for watching and have a good morning.
Welcome back. Our WhatsApp line is 02021666333. That's 02021666333. And we'd just like to read your thoughts and comments along as we have the conversation. My guests have joined me. I'll introduce them to you shortly. But let me rehash the front page stories. The Daily Guide Status Office says work begins on Adenta footbridges today. NDC race gets dirty. Alote fights Asiedu Nketia. And GRA arrests 4 over diversion. And Nana flies to Qatar. MPP warns NP aspirants. The Finder newspaper says 14,888 registered at Adentan in the first week of the exercise, and over 200 MPs abandoned RTI bill. Free SHS to cost Ghana over 3 billion in 2019. Professor Ite says so. And 6 contractors visit Medina Pantine Highway to begin work on footbridges. Free SHS Gold Track takes off smoothly. The BNFT says analysts sees uncertain 2019 for financial sector. Paperless port pushes revenue to high record. The Ghanaian Times. Medina Adenta residents mount pressure on government for construction of footbridges. CID quizzes Kujubons over $1.7 million theft case. NDC flays president over corruption. And rich parents must pay financial free SHS. Professor Ite says so. Finally, the Daily Graphic for today, the 13th of November, says government will sustain free SHS funding. GS Director General Professor Amankwa there. And government bags 12 billion Ghana cedis from import duties. Free SHS High School, rich must pay participant in graphic business Stambik Forum advocate. My guest this morning to my far right is the MP for Second D, the Honourable Andrew Ejapa-Mensah, who is here on behalf of the MPP Council. Welcome. Good morning. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm
three
good.
pieces bay this morning.
Yeah, I guess that
the oracles spoke to us that all three of us are going to wear 3 pieces this morning. So.
I see. And a face that we haven't seen here in quite some time, the Honourable Nelson Roxon Dafiamakpo is the MP for South Dai. Chief, good morning and thank you very much for coming, Council. It's been a while.
Oh, well, I've been coming. I think
the weekends, but you have abandoned me during the week. It's okay. It's okay. I know ball.
Someone else.
I know ball. Let's start off. We'll touch free SHS, but I want to pick your thoughts about the RTI bill. The Finder reports that the MPs have abandoned the bill. Is that true?
That can never be true. You see, I want to make this point. When a woman gets pregnant and she miscarries, there's no baby. All right. Now, I agree that the RTI bill was introduced in Parliament as far back as 2002, 2003.
Right.
But none of those parliaments were able to carry through. So the 7th parliament that my brother and I belong to, we are working assiduously on the bill.
How come there's always an empty house, so to speak? When
I'll come to that matter. Now, the mechanics of lawmaking, the rudiments of it, is so tedious. Going letter by letter, syllable by syllable, ensuring that syntax, sentence structure, everything is accurate to the greatest extent in a bill before it is passed into law.
Right.
That is our duty. And because it shouldn't be because of pressure from civil society, we should pass a bad law, or we should gloss over the latent defects in the bill and pass it into law, just in satisfaction of the pressure brought to bear on us by civil society. So we want to assure them that this parliament, 7th parliament, that my brother and myself and fortuitously we are part of the Constitutional, Legal and Constitutional and Parliamentary Affairs Committee that is stays with this bill. We are working assiduously. We are at the consideration stage, and that is where the amendments are done. As soon as we are done, and unless it's a very small bill, it's about it's not more than 50 clauses, except that in the course of the consideration and the amendment, there may be some structured clauses may be separated, and we do all that.
Okay.
So if at the end of the day, we don't go into winnowing. Winnowing is where a smaller committee will go and sieve the chaff from the grain.
Okay.
If we don't do that, we take the 3rd reading and we are home and dry.
Council,
right.
Are we passing it this time round? Are we certain?
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that right to information bill will become law in this 4th parliament, 7th parliament. The expectation, of course, and leadership, as always, meet to draw the calendar for every meeting. And because of the budget, the expectation was that because the 3rd meeting of every session of parliament is essentially dedicated to the budget.
Absolutely.
So the expectation was that we're going to finish off with the RTI bill before the budget is read on the 15th of November. Unfortunately, some issues have come up. I mean, the amendments that were proposed by other members over and above what the committee itself had done at the clause-by-clause stage of the bill were numerous as well. And like he said, the bill is going to be passed, but we need to, as expected by the people of Ghana, pass a good law. And so I am confident that the RTI bill will be passed before we rise in December. And I understand. I heard the speaker grant an interview to Joy FM and reassure the people of Ghana that the RTI bill is going to be passed into
It was actually yesterday.
rise,
some of my colleagues were there.
Yeah, I mean, you see, the impression that is created out there that Parliament is, as it were, determined not to pass the bill. I don't think it's accurate.
Is the number of years that it has been there not a factor that's fueling it?
That's why I told you that if you get pregnant, you miscarry. There's no baby.
There's no baby.
The baby is now with us, and we'll deliver.
Okay.
All right. And the small point, the fact that you see fewer number of MPs working on the bill does not mean that others do not work on other things. Otherwise, if you expect the 275 to sit and work on one document, Parliament will never...
There's always a question of quorum that's raised by Honorable K.T. on MP4. That comes up. When the matter comes up, he raises a question of quorum.
But he never gets it done. The Speaker never... Anytime the Speaker rules on his preliminary issues or applications, he never succeeds.
The last time he raised a question of quorum, the meeting didn't hold.
No. We never rose in Parliament as a result of quorum raised by KT.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Now there are two authorities. Article 102 in the Constitution and Order 48 of our standing rules. If you proceed under 48, it's laborious.
Okay.
If you proceed under 102 in the Constitution too, it's equally laborious.
Okay.
So the ingenious way of doing it is to rope the two together and say that I stand on Article 102 as well as Order 48 of our standing on this, and move the House. When you do that, the Speaker will just order that, please call in the members in 10 minutes before he makes his pronouncement.
Right.
And so when members are around, they come.
Okay. All right, let's make progress. We have had promises here, and we'll keep track with it. But yesterday,
especially from the Speaker, we have to disabuse the mind of the people that Parliament is not minded to.
The Speaker promised us when he was
once it's coming from the Speaker,
that he was going to have a Parliament that will spark its own laws. I've not seen.
No. It's methodical.
Well, but 2 years.
No, rest assured, I know that some members are working on some private members to be submitted.
So I want to see results. That's
it's
all.
a revolution.
I want to see
the
results.
Parliamentary procedure is embedded in ancient practice.
Right.
You can't take a year or two to dramatically change something. He has to prepare the grounds.
Right.
And that's what he's doing.
Okay, let's move on now and talk about the Graphic Business Stambik Forum yesterday. It talks about the free SHS. And yesterday, it seemed to have been a consensus that rich must pay. This was a matter that Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta had earlier brought up, and it was shot down by some elements within your government that, look, perhaps he doesn't know what he's talking about. Now, Professor Ite says the government must be realistic. Has reality set in yet on the funding of free SHS where it can be wholesale and free?
Well, I don't think that elements within our government indicated that the finance minister didn't know what he was talking about. That's not the point that was being made.
What was the point?
The point was that the policy, was every single Ghanaian student who gains admission into SHS 1 at the time ought to go through the system without paying any fees. Because I'm aware that Ken
Ofori-Atta thought that we had to do targeting.
That's I'm coming to that. I'm aware that conversation as to the segregation of who pays and who doesn't pay came up right at the beginning at the cabinet discussion, and people have their own views. But the predominant view was that at this point, free means free for everybody.
Is that equity?
Why not? Of course, every policy can be reviewed as we go along.
You're a lawyer, is that equity?
Why is it not equitable? Why is it not equitable? It's a government policy, it's a government scholarship that is being extended to every Ghanaian child who was going to Form 1 at the commencement of the program. That was a policy decision that was taken by government.
That the child of the Chaco Bernard Dabala and the quintessential banker in Accra who's earning an 8-digit salary, they should all benefit from what's free?
I'm saying that was the policy that government implemented at the time of the beginning of the program. That, look, this is not the time for us to go and do a means test. We promised the people of Ghana that we're going to implement this policy that ensures that money doesn't become the basis for people getting educated. And so let's roll it out across board. Like I said, people have expressed various views about way forward.
Most of these are experts.
I don't have a problem. And if government deems it prudent to review the policy such that some category of Ghanaians who clearly have demonstrated or can demonstrate the wherewithal to pay should pay, that will be the policy going forward.
Professor Ernest Aite,
as we speak.
Professor Ernest Aite says next year we'll be paying 3.3 billion from 1.3 billion as it is now. And it will not make sense for the state alone to want to hold on to this, because then it will stifle us and not create fiscal space. And so government must be real. I'm asking you, has reality setting now where we will now say, okay, after a year of practice, we want to allow for people to support
I'm not
us?
in a position to preempt whatever decision that cabinet will take on the way forward for free SHS.
Don't have
the rationale for me, okay, is still in place, that money being basis why people should not go to school should not happen in Ghana, okay, and that every Ghanaian child, to the extent that he's finished junior high and has passed the entry exam to go to senior high school, should go to school regardless, because the alternative of keeping several thousands of Ghanaian children off the classroom is more expensive than whatever amount of money that this country spends on educating its citizens. Fundamental. But of course, I can afford to pay my children's school fees when they get to SHS. I'm saying that that's the policy of government. And suggestions are always welcome. Policies are subject to review. Okay? And government has indicated, of course, when the program started, the numbers that were going to Form 2 and who were actually going to get into year 1 subsequently was not anticipated. And so a review had to decision had to be taken to review and implement the multi-track or double-track system that ensures that everybody goes to school. And so if we get to the point where government takes a decision that, look...
Have we gotten to that point? That's my question.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not in a position to preempt. It's only cabinet that can take that decision.
And you don't have
not
any information?
Me. Absolutely, I don't,
okay.
As I sit here.
Okay. Council, let me come to you now. This is where we are. The experts are saying, look, we must be real. Rich people must pay. And we can't have it wholesale as it is now. What are your thoughts?
Thank you. They have always been real with us, at least to the extent that you hold stakeholder fora and discuss the future of a lot of policies that affect our educational subsector. They have always been, as much as possible, fair with government. From about 2014, government found the need to, because pressure was brought to bear, because the constitutional rendition is progressively free.
Right.
So they found the need to, as it were, make day students, not pay fees.
Okay.
And I think they paid a token. I've forgotten the amount. Then I think in 2000
was only 58 cities.
Oh,
it cannot be.
Why? Why are you discarding 58 cities?
I'm not saying that 58 cities should be discounted.
Allow him to make his point.
But if the cost of day students is in excess of 1,000 Ghana cedis and you provide 58,
it was never 1,000 Ghana cedis.
58 by 100,000 students.
I don't have a problem.
It was not.
Single student here.
You sit here.
Allow him.
So let me make my point.
Make his point.
I will be providing with additional information.
I can give you a pen and paper to note.
Now you countered that approach and said that you were going to do a wholesome free SHS. Wholesome. At the time you were campaigning and said so expressly in your manifesto. The people weighed the two options and abandoned the NDC's progressively free approach and took to your wholesome approach to free HSS. and brought you in. Now you are in the saddle. First, you refuse to implement the wholesome approach. Because my daughter is in Form 3, I am paying school fees. And I'm paying school fees for a lot of the Form 3s, especially their registration and their school fees.
Because they're not benefiting from this?
No.
Okay.
But they are also in free SHS. He sat here and said, everybody. So I want to alert him that it is not everyone who is in a free SHS, who is in SHS, who is benefiting from the policy. That's number one.
Of course, we started from Form 1.
I agree.
So those in Form 2 now will benefit from it.
So you see, so it is still progressively free. They are doing it progressively.
By next year, those in Form 3 will be benefiting.
It is still a progression. And that is what they have refused to accept. Even in their progressive implementation of the policy, they are running into serious problems because they fail to take into account the numbers. Now reality is hitting them. They come back and they did the review this year. Now, in the course of that review, it even emerged that even student-teacher ratios were having difficulties. All right? So they even have to employ non-graduate teachers. No, graduate teachers who were non-trained in education. They came for 8,000 approval, but they employ 9,000. It is okay. So the question is, if by next year, we have to spend 3.3 billion on free SHS, with all the implementational difficulties, and with a huge deficit in infrastructure provision, then we have real difficulty. And so you asked,
do we have the money?
Well, I just saw that the paperless system alone brought us 12 billion.
Right.
All right. I just saw that. So somebody could simply say that, well, if the port alone is giving us 12 billion, we should be able to take at least 4 billion of that and sort out free
The experts say that's not wise.
Exactly. But it is not as simplistic as that. Because aside from the intangible part of the policy, which is school fees that you can't see, because government is only, they are exchanging numbers on the books. The tangible part, which is infrastructure provision, you can see. Provision of mattresses, desks, payment for salaries for teachers, and all that. They all are part of the composite policy we call free SHS. Can we sustain it? That's the question.
What other funding options do we have, apart from what government is doing? You know, everybody gets it.
You see, interestingly, because we haven't exited out of the IMF program now, it will be difficult for even look for external funding or grant or even assistance. Yes, because there are a lot of conditionalities. So regarding external funding, it's out. Everything has to be, you know, act from within.
Mr. Baumia says we have all the money here.
You see, it is this money. I don't want to do politics.
You don't believe 12 billion? That's enough money. We're raking it. Tax stamp is here. Paperless sport.
You see the pressure on government in the road subsector. Government is coming under a lot of pressure because when it came, it decided to review a lot of the contracts in the road sector. 2 years down the line, now there's pressure that we think that within 2 years we should have done the review, and those that you are supposed to let them proceed. Those that you think you must raise issues with, raise the issues. But don't abandon the roads. So road infrastructure, it's people are beginning to assess. So government is being pulled from a lot of sides. All right. So it's not having the peace of mind to be able to focus on the free estate. That is where the pressure is.
Council, do you have the peace of mind to deal with the issues?
Don't say that.
I mean,
do you have the peace of mind?
Absolutely.
Do we have the money, 3.3 billion?
You see, it's a question of priority. Okay. We budgeted to spend almost 60 billion in 2018. And if we spend 1.3 of that to educate our children,
and you say that is onerous. And I fail to see how that can in any way be deemed
That
as
means
onerous.
the entire budget of the GES would have to go there into the GES as other needs, doesn't it?
That if then the suggestion will be that all the other sectors of education were not funded in 2018. I'm speaking to only the budget for free SHS.
Right.
It was 1.3 billion. If as a nation, which planned or budgeted to spend almost 60 billion, is spending 1.3, which does not even amount to 2% or 3% on educating our children. The choice is ours to make. And I think that His Excellency the President took the right decision, okay, to put these sums of money into building our human capital and ensuring that at least...
You see, I may have to come in here. He puts it simplistically that we projected to spend 60 billion. So if we allocate even 2 billion to free SHS.
What's wrong with that?
Exactly. But it is not.
I indicated that this is priority.
You see,
yes,
because
of course,
as part of that 60,000, as part of that 60,000,
make your interjection quickly.
Yes,
He has to
as
come
part
back
of that
to the main point.
60,000 is salary for everybody in this country. He's forgotten that.
Okay.
I haven't forgotten anything.
So I asked the question that other sectors also have.
Okay, yes,
needs.
that's what I said. Other sectors have needs. But like I indicated earlier, the consequences of having an uneducated population, or at least 100,000 Ghanaian children every year dropping off school at age 13, in 10 years amounts to 1 million 13, 14-year-olds who really cannot do much for themselves with the kind of education that we give them. And the government says, no, I will keep all of them in school until they turn 18. Because by that time...
That again too is not correct. And here is it. In the school placement system, at the end of the day, 67,000 couldn't be placed. Parents massed up at the GES office. Eventually, only about 5,000 got it.
But they have all been placed now.
No. Why? I have kids in my constituency who have not been placed.
Go track.
Yes.
Green track.
I'm telling you. And out of that same number, no, aside from that number, they came out to say that about 31,000 could not qualify. So when you tell me that as part of the thrust of this policy, the key pillar of this policy is that you don't want any child to be left behind. You have told me that you are leaving 31,000 behind because you think they haven't qualified.
If the grades are not good, they won't make progress.
Is it not the policy? You have come to say that you won't encourage that. And yet you have come to implement the same thing. 31,000 kids are home. So you shouldn't sit here and say the government said, I am keeping all of you in school. They are not keeping everybody in school.
Okay, thank you. Council, so...
You see, you realize every time that he interjects, I sit quietly and listen to him. But when he gets to his turn, and I interject, then you raise issues.
When next you
but
interject,
it's fine. You see,
when next you interject, he would keep quiet.
I kept quiet and listened.
Compare the alternative that they provided to what this government is doing, and then you see the real effect.
It's a problem with the funding. That's
you see, Johnny,
Council, hold on for
Johnny,
me. Council, hold on.
Johnny,
right.
The opportunity
Council,
cost.
hold on for me. Yes, the
like
cost.
I said, it's prioritizing. We have a basket of issues and a certain pot of money that we can deal with all those issues. Priority is the issue.
Do we have other funding options available?
Other funding sources available, all will come into the consolidated fund. That's where the chunk of, in fact, even if we borrow, it goes into the consolidated
what
fund.
happened to the call on private sector and corporations to support
of course,
free SHS?
Private sector players, NGOs have been supporting our educational system from Adam. And so if the call is that, look, rather than old boys sending funds to Adesadal to build a dormitory block, for instance, put it in the Ghana Education Service free SHS pot so that government can determine where the priorities are and spend that money that you would ordinarily have taken to your school regardless of whether free SHS was in place or not. It's not a bad call. Say it again.
Will the Adisada old boys agree to that?
Why not? Why not?
Now, one of the key components, Council, you have a take, but one of the key components of this conversation yesterday was that Prosaite said if we had a working national ID system, we are then able to identify who earns what their financial capability are, and then therefore they will be exempted, just like we have tax holidays for businesses. As it stands now, our national ID system is not up and running. We are now trying to build it. So how do we identify?
8 years it was abandoned. Otherwise, we'll probably have completed it by now.
Do you guys ever stop this?
If
before the 8 years, there was an 8 years.
Council, allow me to ask my question. Now, how
do we, when the ID Ghana
before
ID
the 8 years, there was an 8 years.
The ID card
so
system
stop
was
this.
initiated.
Both of you have failed us.
As if Ghana began 8 years ago.
So both of you have failed us.
I'm glad you make the point that Ghana did not begin 8 years ago. It's true.
So my question.
Okay, look,
Council, my question is that how do we identify, granted that cabinet decides to go with the professionals, how do we identify who should pay and who should not pay?
We'll have to make a determination at which point that implementation will take place. Okay, because as it were, you yourself and the experts admit that there is no objective criteria for determining the capacity of parents to pay as we speak. And that we need to put in place a certain system that enables government to make that determination. And thankfully, this government has commenced the rollout of the system that the experts have mentioned, which is the national ID card, which captures a lot of data that enables government to make a determination as to who has what it takes to pay and who hasn't got what it takes to pay. So cabinet would have to take a decision at which point that they feel comfortable that, look, we've gotten to a stage where the state cannot continue to bear the entire cost. And I'm not in a position to preempt whatever decision that cabinet will take. When we get to that point and they make a determination, we'll come and speak to it.
Okay.
But that objective criteria has to be in place for that decision to be taken.
Okay. Mr. Tefeboko, so how do we pick out who can pay and who cannot pay?
First, you have to do a pragmatic segregation of the schools. There are schools we call grade A.
Right. Prosaite calls them modern schools.
Exactly.
The Fanspim,
yes, but he made the point that even with time, those modern schools will be overtaken by events. They will just be in a name. But the content will run into problems. If you are a cocoa farmer, or like you said, a charcoal dealer in Dabala decides to send his daughter to Wesley Girls, she should be ready to pay. All right? That could be one of the most pragmatic ways of doing it. Because you see, there's a Dabala secondary school right by you. But if you decide that your daughter should leave the Volta region, cross Greater Accra, and enter Central region, you must bear the economic consequences. That could be one. The other one, I disagree that this national ID card, the national ID card is not national economic ID card. It won't tell you how much you earn. So they should stop this way of saying that.
This suggestion is coming from your expert that you say we should take all the
national ID card.
So what's your problem?
I didn't say so. I said they are always fair with us when they critique the policy.
And they've suggested the use of the national ID card.
And I'm saying that the national ID card, why? Don't I have the right to
sat in the studio. And you don't exactly the same thing that I'm
doing. I have the right
you are tending to look at me.
I have to criticize. I am saying that the national ID card is not national economic ID card.
Okay. So it won't work? Prosaite's suggestion won't
work? I don't think so.
But do you know the information that they capture on
why?
You have refused to obtain a national ID card.
Please.
Or you secretly, surreptitiously want to pick
I don't do that.
Allow him to make his point.
Why?
So it's not a national.
They brought the sample form attached to the amendment. We saw it. The information they are gathering.
So you say it's not a national economic card.
ID card. Okay. It's not supposed to determine your economic status.
But it shows where you work, and perhaps they could do some digging.
Does it show where you work? It doesn't show where you work.
When you fill the form, it will ask
why?
you.
Won't you change your employment tomorrow? So it is a non-starter. It is only to identify the number of people in this jurisdiction by nationality, that's foreigners and nationals. And then when we want to do anything, there's going to be a database. Okay, so when they mention your name, police wouldn't have to, or they mention anybody's name in respect of something, the police wouldn't have to be running around the place trying to locate the person.
So that option is not, it doesn't
for
work.
Me,
there.
I think they are stretching. It's significant.
How about a suggestion to get private companies and corporations to pay?
Good point. Because you see, entities like Vodafone, MTN, the telcos, I should say, they already build education and health infrastructure to support government. We can ask them to do more because they rake in a lot of money. We can ask them to do more. And I disagree with him. If I am an old student of Adisco, my interest is to help Adisco develop and grow greater. My interest is not in some other school.
And so that I cited as an example because that's what really came to mind. Doesn't mean it's only at this other old students who
I am not saying so. I am not saying so.
Educational support.
I think that what he's saying is
a good point.
If you attend, for example, Accra Academy, and old boys are calling out to Accra Academy or to Hotcast, whatever it is, you'd want to put your money in your alma mater.
And that's what they are doing anyway. That's where their interest is.
Of course, there are always old boy and old girl associations who do that.
You see.
But then would it make more meaning if the old boys and old girls look at the nationalistic picture and say,
but they won't do
we
it.
Have
it looks,
and
it
so
looks,
let's give to the less privileged.
It looks plausible, but they won't do it.
Why would they do it?
Because the drive will not be there. You see, that is why it's called old boy associations. It's their attachment is to their school. The umbilical cord is tied to their school.
So you believe that the rich must pay?
I agree.
Must the rich pay?
I think at a certain point, yes.
What point is that? 2019, 2020?
I wouldn't be in a position to say because you see, and let me please. You see, I have information that even at the initial stages of the conversation, some suggestion was made that people who attend private basic schools, okay, which is far more expensive than public secondary schools, should be made to pay. Because if you pay dollars at Merton International, SOS, GIS, and you want to send your child to Addis Adel and Infantsville, which is relatively a better public school than many private schools in the secondary sector, are not preferred by many of the people who go to, private basic schools. But that was shut down. That look, the decision is that we're doing it wholesale at this point, and that subsequently, when we get to the point where we have to review, then we'll take that decision.
When do we get to that point?
Like I said, it's only cabinet that can take that decision.
Okay.
And I'm not in a position.
You have not heard anything from cabinet.
I have not.
Okay, Council, you wanted to make a point about.
The point I'm making is that, or my further point is that, we should rather fall on SNIT.
Okay.
It is SNIT that has the economic data on taxpayers.
Okay.
All right. So we could start from SNIT and use SNIT's data to determine.
State money is a very insignificant formal sector.
Why?
Relative to
you see, it is for starters. It is. You see, you are in a crisis. You are looking for options.
He doesn't believe we're in a crisis.
Why? He thinks that we are not in crisis. We are in crisis.
Not at all. Where is the crisis?
We are in crisis.
Where is the crisis?
We are running our public secondary school system under shift. Is that not a crisis?
That's not a shift.
Why? It's
the gold track and green track.
They tell us that in 7 years they are doing away with that policy. So it is a solution to a crisis situation.
Okay, let's check out some of your messages on WhatsApp this morning.
The numbers are overwhelming, you guys.
Okay, and interesting conversation. I feel like I'm in court already. All right, lots of your messages here. We'll share some of them with you as we make progress on the show. But you can keep sending them in on 020-21-666-33. That's 020-21-666-33. And would be happy to read them and share them with the rest of the wonderful world. It says, good morning to everyone. I'm Ibrahim from Atonso, Kuwait. I'd like to talk about the Adenta allegations. I think government must see through this and make sure calm will prevail soon before we can hear another issue. If politicians' children were also supposed to be passing through those roads, like would they not have done it well? The poor are always suffering, you claim. Giving out free SHS education does not mean that you can give out free natural life after it has been taken off. So better fix the footbridges to save lives, because you can't fix life, but you can fix the bridges. Dr. in Conakry, or Dr. Conakry, Guinea there, right? Good morning, TV3. I'm very worried about this NAPCO issue. We're told we're going to commence work on the 1st of November 2018. Today is 13th November, and some of us are yet to receive our placement notifications, but they keep making noise on every available space they get, saying they have created jobs for 100,000 youth. In fact, I'm so confused at the moment. A concerned NAPCO applicant, Ativo David. Good morning to you. Good government only understands one language, Demo. So this is what we the people should give them. I drive always on the Adenta road, so I stop at 6 a.m. to join the action till 9 a.m. Was surprised the street light came on immediately after the Thursday demo. Are we serious as a country? I cry for Mother Ghana. Aram, Adenta News Side. Johnny and Doctor, please, good morning to you all. And you all look good this morning. Johnny, I'm begging you, Dowenya Township needs you. Please consider a bad road. Very sad. You guys are wonderful. Hi, Johnny. Could you imagine that it was announced by Information Minister Kujopon Nkrumah that NAPCO trainees will start work on the 1st of November 2018, and you say you're still at home? Joe in Medina. We'll look into those issues. The rich were not aware that they will pay for their award school fees. Everybody has made his or her mind that the government is to pay his or her awards fees. I guess the government should continue its good work by paying every student's fees. And since government is the people, by the people, and for the people, I think the rich parents can play their role by supporting the free SHS with their resources for the poor to benefit. Abdul Momin Wanam from Tamale. Hello, TV3. Why is it that the only tool for you to get immediate results is demonstration? We're seeing that the Adenta people started this demonstration. The government has started the footbridge completion. That's very bad. Mark Asio Taylor in Elmina. Alaji Hamza in Pig Farm. Johnny, I think it's time someone advised the president and his ministers to learn how to be tolerant when dealing with Ghanaians who brought them to power. The arrogance of this government is becoming more increasingly in this country, and it must stop. The country is sick, and we need God to intervene in the educational system. Did the MPP promise double track? Where have one to study for only 41 days and come home? Shaggy Nima is worried. Good morning. We are sad to notice that the president doesn't understand the language of his people anymore. The crying and pain, why anytime a comment is made about the so-called free SHS, the president gets angry and is now going to make a law that will not allow for any review in the free SHS policy. Really? Is this? Well, I don't think that this is factual. Good morning, Johnny. Distinguishing between those who can pay and those who cannot pay is possible. When you entered into primary one, data such as parents' occupation is obtained. So from this basic data, we can know that the work each parent does, and this will help the authorities to know parents who can pay for the awards. Joseph Savi from Togo. Interesting. I sometimes pity some of the MPP members who appear on TV3 platform for media discussions because of the incessant interruptions by Mr. Bright and Hughes. Okay, when an MPP member is speaking and the kind of questions he puts across to embarrass the government, okay, they are not complaining, so you're crying more than the bereaved, I guess. Good morning, John. It's unfortunate that leaders are not pushing it hard for the RTI bill to be implemented, but had it been an ex-gratia, I don't think it would even take a blink of an eye for it to be gazetted. Wow, what intelligent leaders. Emmanuel Bediaku from Aguna Trade in Central Region. Jagos from Insawam says, in fact, the way our financial sector is collapsing in this country is very bad. Do you know that for the past 2 months now, I can't even withdraw 1 peso from GN Bank at the Insawam branch. Whenever you go there to withdraw money, they will tell you that there is no money. And I'm urging Bank of Ghana to come in and help us, because what Dr. Indum and his GN Bank are doing to the people of Insawam is not good at all. Good morning. Bright. You see how the MPP man is suffering and confusing himself? What's the purpose of the vote that Ghanaians voted for you people? Is it only free SHS that Ghanaians voted for you? You people should give us a break. About enough of that cheap propaganda politics with that super incompetence government. Ahmed in Sunyani. And what criteria will be used to select the rich? When the rich man who can pay fees later becomes incapacitated, should their children drop out? Mind you, it's an investment. Some African countries are considering even making university education free, like Liberia, I guess. And Honorable Andrew Ejapa Mesa, go on and do good work for Mother Ghana, Ekolapia. And, okay, back again. Saba. Finally, good morning, Johnny. Please tell the MPP man that inshallah the NDC will be vindicated on these free SHS issues. The NDC were telling them to go by the constitution and they refused. Now look at what is going on. Inshallah, the MPP will be shown the exit in 2020. Ismail La Horoya. And finally, good morning. This free SHS program should not was not thought through. The same thing happened to health insurance, where government introduced free maternity without research about how many people got pregnant in each year, and that crippled the policy, and now is suffering. If care is not taken, free SHS will face this huge problem coming years. Kwachi Ngosu says. So interesting. Council, the NAPCO, they are calling out to you. They say some of them are still home. Do you have information?
Well, I heard over the weekend when I was in the constituency that a few people have not been placed. I don't know what the reason is, because we're all expecting that, as had been promised, by 1st November, all of them will be at work. I suspect that it may be some, without necessarily knowing the detail, my suspicion would be that maybe the letters have just not been released to all of them. Okay. Because the truth of the matter is that some people have actually started work. I've seen some in their uniforms, sharply dressed. Revenue Ghana employees placed, Hill Ghana people at post. So we may have to find out what the rest will be. Absolutely, I don't know the number of people who have actually received their. The last time we checked was 44,000 that have been placed. That was when? That was, I think, 2 weeks ago or so. Okay, and I'm sure that between that period and now, some other people have been placed. So we need to find out. In fact, at that time, Revenue Ghana, some of the Revenue Ghana practitioners had not been put in there. So now you're saying that Revenue Ghana is in there. So yes. Council, closing thoughts
on NAPCO?
Yes, NAPCO.
I believe that it's a good intervention policy. We hope, or the hope of the nation is that when you do 3 years under this policy, at the time you have to exit, you may exit into a permanent employment. Otherwise, then the cycle may continue. So I am hoping that the economy will expand next year and thereafter. If we leave the IMF, I'm sure we'll expand. We'll have fiscal space. Yes, but and private sector will grow. But the question is, if we can immediately, there are. But the government says we'll do that in 2019. Not so. The government says we're leaving the 2017 budget statement and 2018 budget statement. The president said 2019 we're leaving IMF. Correct? Well,
the agreement that we signed with IMF requires that we terminate on the 31st of December, having met at the last check all the conditions except issues with the revenue. And I'm sure that the point, by 31st December, we'll leave. Absolutely.
Yes, so we are leaving. Hold on. When they were not in government, they said they would terminate the program. They came into government, they had to come and extend it. So I am only saying that I hope.
But I've listened to you on the NAPCO and you were beginning to be objective. Now you are spinning into propaganda.
Please. You see, this word propaganda, it appears
the rationale for extending from April to December has been explained. To whom? And to everybody. It makes a lot of sense.
I see.
That we run the budget cycle with the IMF. So contractual obligations of the state.
This is when you were campaigning.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much indeed. Andre Japamesa is the MP for Sekondi. I was here on behalf of the MPP, and the Honourable Nelson Roxon Dafiamakpo is the MP for South Dai on behalf of the NDC. Good morning to my constituents. Of course, you want to say good morning? I say.
Well, my good morning to my constituents. I say. Well. Yesterday we had a long town hall meeting in the Sekondi, and it was pretty interesting.
We got to go. Thank you, gentlemen, for your Tuesday morning. We'll see you after the break with some more here on Newday.
So for most of you who enjoy what we show here on Missions by telling stories of deprived areas, it is Star Ghana that is usually partnering with us and funded by UKA, Danida and the European Union to bring you such insightful stories. But joining me today is Mr. Akoto Ampao. He is a member of the steering committee of Star Ghana, and they're going to be telling us a new development, the newest thing that has hit the block with Star Ghana. Good morning, Mr. Akoto Ampao.
Morning.
So most of us may not know exactly what Star Ghana is and what you do. So I'll give you the opportunity to tell us what exactly Star Ghana does.
Well, Star Ghana is a multi-pool donor funded program. And the program seeks to promote active citizenship in the area of gender equality and social inclusion. It also seeks to address basic problems of corruption, poor access to social services by the people, providing voice for the marginalized in our society, engaging in campaigns to ensure anti-corruption, accountability, and democratic governance. And our major and main constituency is civil society. Now, we've also, over time, developed programs that ensure that our civil society work is linked with the media to have maximum effect. For instance, the mission program that you referred to, and so on. So, Ghanaian civil society is the foundation of Star Ghana. And that is because we are convinced that if there's going to be fundamental transformation in the interests of the people of Ghana, it will be through the drive and push of civil society. And that if we leave the political parties and politicians, you know, to do what they want, we are not going to get anywhere.
Very well. But Star Ghana has been on the surface for about 10 years now, but you're deciding to add something new to it. What's this new development all about?
Well, the new development emerged at the close of phase 1 of Star Ghana, as 2011 to 2015. And it's also informed by earlier programs, like, for instance, GRAP, Ravi, and other donor-funded programs. We noticed that what happens is that a program is initiated by and funded by donors, and it's maybe a 4-year or 5-year program. When the program ends, then yes, and we are waiting for the next, you know, initiative from our side. And a major focus of civil society work is asserting our autonomy and independence and creativity as a people. So we began to think that how can we be questioning our governments that they are too dependent on external support, whilst we are equally dependent. And that this dependence on donor funding for our work tended to truncate, you know, the development of our work and the momentum that it gains getting to the end of the program. So getting to the end of phase 1 of Star Ghana, that's around 2015, the steering committee of Star Ghana, which was made up of mainly Ghanaians with just one representative from the donors, we started a conversation about thinking through how we could change the whole structure, conception of support for civil society. And we came up with the idea that by the end of the second phase, in fact, one of the major objects of the second phase was to transition Star Ghana into an independent, nationally owned Ghanaian organization.
Very well.
And this we have achieved, you know, by the registration of Star Ghana Foundation.
Okay.
You know.
And so you're launching the Star Ghana Foundation, or you've actually started launching it. What does the launch entail, and how can we also be a part of the foundation?
Well, the launch entails a number of activities, including the meeting that we are having this morning at your studio. Other members of the steering committee are having similar discussions on other networks in the country. From there, this evening will be the official launch of the, at the, what do you call it, Alisa Hotel, and it's at 4 o'clock. There'll be a lecture, you know, by Charles Abugri, former chief executive of the, what do you call it, the Northern Development Agency in up north country. And we would then have a series of dialogue meetings, one with the Ghanaian private sector, to engage them and let them know what's the Star Ghana Foundation is all about, and the role that we expect them to play, the contribution that they can make to our work. And then we'll be having another meeting after that with international NGOs, and also our local civil society organizations, again, to let them know what is going on, what role they can play, and the importance of this major initiative. Because in our view, the launch of Star Ghana Foundation is a huge and fundamental transition in the civil society arena in Ghana. And we think that it can only work and be effective if we get all the relevant stakeholders on board. That includes Parliament, that we've been working with over the last 7 or so years. It includes the media, it includes the private sector, and of course, it includes our main constituency, which is Ghanaian civil society.
Very well. So finally, tell us how as citizens we can be a part of this foundation, how we can contribute to make sure Star Ghana Foundation remains.
Well, Star Ghana Foundation, it's, if you want me to put its objective in one sentence, it seeks to be a center for active citizenship, philanthropy, and civil society. Now, and that recognizes that every citizen has a role to play in transforming Ghana and making Ghana the kind of country we want it to be. And therefore, we'll be rolling out various programs in the area of corruption, anti-corruption, in the area of local governance, in the area of gender equality and social inclusion to deal with the marginalized in society, and in the area of elections, come the next round of elections. And in all these thematic areas, citizens have a major role to play. And when we roll out our specific programs, they will be invited to make their contribution.
Very well. On that note, let me say congratulations to you again for being able to roll out Star Ghana and launching it, the foundation, and launching it this afternoon, where we will all be at Alisa Hotel at 4 p.m. to join with the launch of the Star Ghana Foundation. 10 years down the line, they have been able to transition into a new independent Ghanaian organization, and we certainly all have a role to play. I have been speaking to Mr. Akoto Ampao. He is a member of the steering committee of Star Ghana. We have been discussing exactly this, the foundation launch, where we'll all be convening today, this very evening, 4 p.m. at Alisa Hotel, to join in this great transition. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more here on New Day. Stay with us. Don't change the station.
Welcome back, and thank you very much indeed. This is TV3 New Day. Always, you could join us on our WhatsApp line 02021666333, and we'll share your thoughts and comments with the rest of the wonderful world. I tweet at Hughes_on-air. But let's talk about the Startup Fair and Funding Summit. We've been telling you about it over the past week, and yesterday I rehashed it. oftentimes you have people who have very fantastic ideas, but they don't know where to get the funds to kickstart their business, to take the world by storm. This morning I've been joined by Ebenezer Ejekum. He works with the business desk here at Media General, and Isaac Tete. He is Seth Tete, I beg your pardon. He is also a member of the MD commercial team. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Why would you have a startup and funding session at this time, Ebenezer?
Okay, Johnny, for the past years, we've interviewed over 200 startup businesses on our mover segment on the business focus.
Right.
We've won awards with the program, but in interviewing them, we've come to appreciate the challenges that they face. Challenges in the form of ideas, funding, branding, and what have you. So we decided to bring up this fair, that is the Startup Fair and the Funding Summit, which kicks off this Friday, that is the 16th, through to the 17th Saturday, to give these startups the opportunity to network with those captains in the industry that will come around. We'll give them the opportunity to pitch for funding. We have people coming up to actually help those startups to look for funding. So it's an opportunity to exhibit your products, network to look for funding, which is very critical when doing business in this country is concerned. We know the cost of credit out there. So if you have somebody coming in to say, okay, your ideas are good, your products are good, so we can help you to move to the other level. That is the idea behind it.
Tell me, so where are we having this meeting, if you will?
Thankfully, Aviation Social Center has welcomed us just around 37, just behind the 37 station. And everything we need on that day is ready, trust me. We even have someone who says, look, everyone who comes there that day is going to enjoy free sugarcane juice.
Wow.
Free sugar, everybody who walks in there that day. That's just the prelims. So look, aviation is ready, they're ready for us, set up, everything is almost ready. We're just waiting for people to still keep calling. We are still opening the day, though the number is quite packed. But we are still pushing to open and accommodate more people.
Then comes the question, how much do I need to contribute to be part of this Startup Fair and Funding Summit?
Only 300 Ghana cedis.
300 Ghana cedis.
Just
what does
300
that
Ghana
give me?
So it gives you first the stand. It gives you a round table and a chair where you can display whatever you have. It gives you the opportunity to be granted an interview on TV3. We also get an opportunity to be interviewed on 3FM and on Nia FM as well. Then you will be part of the business summit, which is where everybody is asking, look, how do I pitch my business? How do I meet these people? We are like, look, just come there between 9 a.m. on Saturday, 9 and 12. That's where the business pitch or the business talk is really going to happen. So, in fact, and these speakers are really ready. They are really poised.
And all of that's for only 300.
Just 300 cedis.
Is there a number that they can call? We'll share the number shortly. But Eben, tell me, you have had the chance to interact with a lot more business startups. Now, the country has been talking about entrepreneurship over and over again. It's been taught in our schools. One basic thing is the funding that doesn't come. Are the banks ready to give money, or you have a trick up your sleeves that you would share on that day?
The banks are ready to give money, but the cost of that money is very high. That is the interest rate, so that push people away. But what we seek to do with this funding summit is to have the CEO of the venture capital, Yao Owusu Frimpong, to come in to talk to the startups on how you can access funding in this country. You can also get some true venture capital system. Then we also have John Kuma, who is the CEO of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan, and that is a government program. So government has money that it wants to give out to startups. You know, there's some tax incentives now. If you employ people, a certain number of people, your age and other things, you have tax incentives. So John Kuma will be able to share more light on this government plan for startups. Then we also have the CEO of TKC Africa. It is a funding company. They help startups to get money to run their businesses. And Hannah Aqua will be there on Saturday.
I remember TKC Africa from our 3FM,
Yes.
the pitching competition.
Yes,
you know, so this is going to be exciting. Your closing thoughts as we wrap up. What are you telling the entrepreneurs outside?
Yes, we know doing business, it's difficult, but you don't look at the difficulty. Every difficulty in business should present an opportunity for you to go ahead. One thing that I will say is businesses are moving out from customer care to customer relationship.
Right.
When I enter your store and I buy and you smile, it's customer care.
Right.
But when I go home and you'll be able to contact me and even ask me how good was the product, then a relationship is established.
Okay.
So these are some of the things we would want to tell the startups that will come there. So on Saturday, the funding summit will be from 9:30 in the morning to midday.
I see.
So this is where you will get the package that you need.
Everything,
to
all the
run your
details.
business. Everything.
So there's an exhibition. There's a chance for you to network. There's a chance for you to have free interviews. There's a chance for you to get real knowledge and a chance for you to meet the people who could possibly finance and give you the right advice. What's the magic number to call?
The contact to call for now is 0242 367 965.
Okay, say that again for me.
0242 367 965. And it's not only for the startups, people who really want to come have fun, come participate, come live, because there's so much to eat, so much to see, so much to buy, so much to take home. The whole general public is invited and everybody can be part of it.
We still have spaces for a few of them for people who want to sign up.
So they call the number. One more time. What's the number?
0242 367 965. 0242 367 965.
And for only 300 Ghana cedis, you get a chance to move your business from zero to hero, if you will. I've been speaking with Ebenezer Ijekum, who is a member of our business desk here at Media General, Seth Tete, who is with the Media General commercial team. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. And which is why Vodafone says you need to make the smartest choice for your business right now. And you go for smart business from Vodafone. Experience real flexibility, convenience, and productivity. Smart business from Vodafone allows you to create your own customized data and voice plan and to suit your unique requirements of your business. Whether it's airtime for your workers to make those critical calls or for data to make those impressive digital marketing decisions and emails, they've got you covered. Also, you get a chance to roll over all your unused data on Vodafone. Simple. Move your business into the future with a Vodafone Smart Business. Call them today on 0302 334 040. That's 0302 334 040 or 0800 10,000, or visit www.vodafone.com/gh/business/smart business to build your own plan. Vodafone says the future is exciting. Question is, are you ready? We're ready for the summit and the funding of SAM. We'll take a break at this point. Return shortly after this break. Welcome. Today at Chamber, we'll be talking about police brutality. I've been joined by human rights lawyer Francis Xavier Susu. Counsel, good morning and thank you very much for your time.
Good morning.
I'm sure you've been listening to the conversations going around. People are not happy how the police have been dealing with the populace, especially when we know that the police is supposed to be our friend, especially in the last Thursday's Adenta demonstration. It turned out that it got fierce with the police. First of all, I'd like to pick your initial thoughts about the state of police brutality, if at all, this has come to your notice in this country.
Yeah, well, I think that the matter of police brutality is a major cause for concern in this country. And it's a major cause for concern because of the core rules or the core mandate of the police service, which essentially is to protect lives and property, and they are supposed, of course, to be our friends, and they are supposed to be where victims of crime can resort to, and the police is supposed to be a friend of the populace.
Right.
You know, so when it turns out that they become a source of violations and brutality and unfair treatment, or some kind of physical attacks and so on and so forth, then it gives a big cause for concern.
Right.
Because it violates every aspect of civil liberties and civil rights, and we cannot take away, civil liberties also. You can't take away the right to assemble, the right to demonstrate, the right to protest. You can't take it away.
The police has to use aggravated, if you like, graduated force. That's how they term it. So they try one thing, it doesn't work. They move it up steadily until they achieve what they want to achieve. That's what we are told. But in this instance, and in some other instance, that's not to put the police in bad light. Sometimes the citizens also are the cause of their own woes, don't you think?
Well, absolutely. That is why when you look at the mandate of police and the work police is supposed to do, it is not limited to, for example, a protester. It is also limited to the onlooker or the public that must go around and do his business. So, for example, if you are a protester and you are blocking roads, you probably will be, violating the rights of others who must also go about their normal business.
Right.
So the police has to keep and maintain, a fair balance between protecting the rights of the person who is protesting and the right of, the one who is not interested in that protest, But the real issue has to do with how police actually manages that balance.
Okay.
And, at what point police uses what force, and to achieve what. Most often than not, you realize that even though police claims they use reasonable force, it hasn't been that reasonable. And when we talk about reasonability, clearly we don't have.
Who determines that?
That's the point. It's a very subjective subject, and we have not had any consensus on what actually would amount to reasonableness. However, when you take the reasonable man's, or the ordinary man's test of what is reasonable, you would know. For example, if you are using a sledgehammer, to kill like an ant or something, people would, automatically would amount to unreasonable.
Can people
force.
who feel brutalized by the police wrongfully seek redress in the court?
Absolutely, absolutely.
How do they go about it?
Well, what they need to do first, they can complain to PIPS, or maybe send a petition to the police council or to the IGP, and possibly they can go ahead and serve notice to the Attorney General under the Public State Proceedings Act, and after some 30 days, they can resort to the Human Rights Court and seek redress.
Interesting there. Now, there are complaints that people have gone to PIPS, and they've been labeled, and sometimes they've been victimized even at that desk. Has any of such reports come to you?
Well, absolutely not. In fact, almost all the cases that I have personally gotten involved with PIPS, it ended up well. In fact, those that did not go well, we just had to resort to court. That is when you feel your matter has not been properly dealt with. But almost every time, I don't think any police officer would want his case to be sent to PIPS. And almost any time they are willing to even come and settle once the matter gets to PIPS.
Here's a case where, for example, journalists have been abused. My friend Latif was abused in front of the police headquarters for doing his work by policemen. Whatever it is. My friend Godfrey Tanam, and there's so many others like that. The impunity with which some of the men in uniform do this, one would say that PIPS should have been a deterrent to them, but it doesn't happen.
Well, I don't think that only PIPS, would be a deterrent. It has to do with the people who are violated trying to test the law to the latter.
Okay.
If I say testing the law to the latter, you should be able to say, I am willing to stand for my rights.
But the police will tell you they are investigating, and a question arises: the police investigating itself.
Well,
like a military man abuses you, the military is investigating itself.
It's two things. You have both civil, remedies, and you have some of these criminal remedies.
Right.
Obviously, when a police abuses you, it is, assault, criminal assault, and depending on the degrees of injuries and things that you might have suffered, it could, amount to different kinds of offenses and crimes committed against you. And of course, it's the police that would have to investigate it, and we give them the benefit to do that. However, you also have a right to go to a civil court to sue for trespass to the person, to sue for human right violation, and you can obtain some damages against the police. Most often than not, I think in this country, many people are unable to test the law to the latter.
Why is that?
We should be able to sue the investigator. We should be able to sue the man in uniform, not even the police service, the one doing the violation. We should be able to put that person before court. Once you're able to do that, and maybe you secure some huge damage against that person, next time his colleagues are going to learn and will not be violating
Let's
other
look
people.
at the angle where a policeman assaults someone and you're told by the police administration they are investigating and the investigation never ends. That in itself sends a signal to the next policeman that, well, you can do it and we will.
Well, I think that it is in the best interest of the police administration to take some of these matters extremely serious. In fact, they may have to pay more attention to it than they are doing now. The reason is that, look, you are working for the public and you want public confidence in the police. If people are not confident in the police, you know what it brings? It brings about things like the kind of, violent clashes and lynching, all kinds of mob attacks, and so on and so forth. And you don't want a society that will degenerate into, disorder. So it is for the police to take these things very seriously and deal with them.
Elsewhere, you see the police playing the role of a service. Mingling with people, sometimes even helping people carry their children and all of that. We seem to have militarized our police here, such that at the little altercation, the police wants to either issue a slap or cuff you or push you behind bars to prove to you that, this is where power lies. My good friend, Dr. Kobe Mensah of the University of Ghana Business School, was slapped at the airport because he had parked his car. Somebody walked up to him and he says, look, slow down, let's talk. And the person, boom, bum.
Well, I've had many of such complaints where some medical doctors, some doctors of books who have been manhandled by the police.
If you're looking at a doctor of a long year standing in academia, and the police lance corporal, for example, they are far apart even in terms of social status.
Absolutely. And it is because of lack of professionalism, on the part of these police officers. We all know that, how long does it take, for a recruit to become a police officer? Some few months of training. And I have always advocated that, persons who want to join the police service would need, longer period of training than they currently are having.
Well, they do have refresher courses, I'm told.
Well, before you pass out, I think that, look, one of the things that are really missing in the police administration, and maybe they can prove me wrong, is training police in human rights. Extensive courses in human rights. You need to pass your course in human rights before you actually pass out to become a police officer. Otherwise, you don't need to become a police officer. And such a course must be a compulsory course in the police training school. Because that is the only way they will come out and know that, well, people have rights and they have a right to talk back at me if I'm not doing the right thing. They have a right to question me. When a police parks, a driver, he has a right to ask, why are you parking me?
We'll continue the conversation some other time. Lawyer, I thank you very much for your time. We'll be talking about police brutality to wrap up the conversation here on the show this morning. My guest has been lawyer Francis Xavier Susu. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Wednesday. But on Thursday, we'll be bringing you the full comprehensive review of the budget as it happens in Parliament. Stay with us. There's more here on TV3.